What's up, everyone? This is James Cuilty, and welcome to another episode of Beyond Your Upline. So what do you do when you've lost your momentum? How do you get your mojo back? Well, we're going to talk about that in today's episode, so let's get to it.
How do you build a successful business in network marketing when everyone you know thinks it's a scam? How do you achieve that dream lifestyle when 99% of distributors quit within their first year, broke and worse off than when they started? If you ask the so-called experts or talk to your family and friends, they will tell you that it's impossible, that it can't be done. But it is being done, and it's happening each and every day by a select group of people that you probably never even heard of. My name is James Cuilty. Join me as I seek to find out how these elite few beat the odds and succeed in network marketing. Welcome to Beyond Your Upline.
So I have a confession to make. If you have not noticed, it has been a few days since I had released a podcast episode. And in the grand scheme of things, is that a really big deal? No. But I wanted to kind of talk and share about that because this happens to all of us when we start on a new journey, or even when we're just plugging along trying to accomplish a goal in our business, or any goal for that matter. So I had just in a couple episodes, last two episodes I believe it was, I talked about that I was following the advice of my business coach, Russell Brunson, and that he had said that I have a challenge for anybody that wants to be successful in business. Then you have to be publishing. You have to, be getting your voice out there and learning how to craft messages. And the fastest way to do that is if you publish every single day for a year, your life will never be the same. Will not be the same. You will be far ahead than what you thought you could have accomplished, right? And I had heard that a few years ago, did not want to do it, and I finally took the challenge, and that was this year. And so I was plugging along, and I was hitting that. And last week I missed some episodes. I missed one, and I was like, okay, not a big deal. And then the next day, came up, I was like, I'm really busy. I just don't have the time. And before you know it, it's like 4 days, give or take. And I share that with you because there's going to be times when you are building your business where you're going to have to accomplish something for that day. And it just seems like everything is going against you, right? You're so busy, you're putting out fires, and you just don't seem to be able to get the things done that you wanted to get done, right? And then so you put it off. And the minute that you do that, guess what? You start to lose momentum. And before you know it, you are sitting there, and it's been like months, and you are so far back that you're like, I don't even know if I can ever start again. If that ever happened to you? And I'm going to make, like I said, I was going to make a confession. Not only had I missed a few days, but I started I started this podcast actually about a year before the first episode that was up here. And what do I mean by that? I had started 5 episodes, and it was 2021, I believe. I had done 5 episodes. I had, it was all set, super excited, and then, things started happening, and before I knew it, it was 2022, and I hadn't published an episode, and I was like, oh my God, and I felt all of those feelings, like, what? Why even, do this? I should just pack it up. I shouldn't continue with the the podcast or even start it. You know what? Nobody is going to listen. It's going to be like an entire year before after I publish 4, and episode 5 is going to be like an entire year, right? And so so I quit, and it wasn't until I took that challenge from Russell Brunson I said, no, you know what? I'm going to do this, right? And so that's the thing that I wanted to share with you is like, no matter how many times you get set back or you put something off, right? The best thing that you can do to get your momentum back is just to do something. It doesn't have to be something big. You don't have to sit there and call, 100, people. You don't have to, put together this huge promotion. You don't have to, go ahead and make like 100 sales or something like that. It could be as something as simple as, you know what, I'm just going to put a post out. That's it. And even if nobody sees it, it doesn't matter. What that does for you is it helps to build momentum. And then the next day you're like, I put a post out. That wasn't that big of a deal. And then, hey, I'm going to go send an instant message, or I'm going to go, write an ad, or you know what, I am going to, put out a lead magnet, to attract, somebody to get them onto my email list or something like that, right? It could be something super small. And then from there, you'll be able to build momentum. I used to run into this so many times, and that's why it was like an entire year before I started this podcast again, right? It was because I, in my mind, was thinking I had to do all of these things. You know what? I had to make sure that everything was planned out. I had to make sure that I had a really super interesting topic. I had to, make sure I had this really cool story to go along with it to capture people's attention. And it was a lot of pressure. And, and after a few days thinking of that, I just started to become so overwhelming, and it just felt like I was carrying around these 100-pound cinder blocks, until finally I was like, I can't, do this anymore, right? Because I was putting too much pressure on myself instead of thinking of, I just need to do something, right? And that's exactly what I did. And I was like, when I made that decision, I'm going to do this every day. I don't care if I don't have anything to say and I'm rambling. At least I did it, right? And I felt myself earlier this week falling into that same pattern. And I was like, oh my gosh, till finally, just a few minutes ago, I was like, I didn't really have anything planned. And I was like, I don't care. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to jump on here. I'm just going to kind of talk about, what I'm going through. And if it's good, great. If not, well, that doesn't matter. Again, at least I'm getting myself some momentum, right? I'm doing something. Does that make any sense? And so, and you can apply this not only in your business, but also in your personal life as well. If there's things that you've been kind of, putting on the back burner that you knew you should have done, like for instance, my wife, she had this huge list of things that she wanted to do, and it's been like on her list for like 3 years, and it was over the new year. She had some vacation time, and I had some time off, which was nice. And what we were able to do is we were able to drop our children off over at her mom's house. So we had some free time together. And she was like, "Gosh, what would you what would you like to do? You want to go out? We should go out to dinner, or maybe we should do something fun. We haven't really spent a lot of quality time together, since we had the kids." And I said, "Yeah, we can do that." And then it just popped into my head. I was like, "But you know what?" I said, let's take care of those things that are on your list. I don't really want to do that, but you have been talking about this for, the past few years. Let's just knock it out. We don't have the kids here. We don't have to put all of our attention towards them, so we can go ahead and do this. And she was like, are you sure? And I was like, absolutely. Let's go ahead and do it. And what was on her list was, one, she wanted to put up new curtains in the living room. She wanted to replace the curtains that were in my son's room. She wanted to replace the smoke detectors, because she had bought some new ones, and she just didn't get around to actually switching them out. And I forget what the other thing was. Oh, and she actually wanted to redo our bedroom, right? And she wanted to reorganize it, and she couldn't do it on her own. So I was like, let's just do it, right? And even if we just get one thing done, at least you could check that off the box, and that's fine. And what I found was okay, great. We started with the easiest thing, which is the smoke detectors, and we put that up. Awesome. And we could have called it a day and we would have felt successful, right? But we were feeling pretty good, and it was still early in the day. And I said, okay. And I did not want to do, if you've ever tried to put up curtains, it is, oh my God, it just sucks. you got to get the ladders out, and you have to be holding it up there while you mark off. You got to measure and make sure everything is even, and then you got to make sure that you know where the studs are. So when you drill, you're drilling in the stud, not the drywall, so it doesn't pull the drywall out of the wall. And so I did not want to do that, but I knew that this was important to my wife. We'd already done the smoke detectors. Why not? And so it basically it took the whole rest of the day, right? But we got everything checked off of her list, right? And she felt so good, and I could see the excitement and just the joy in her face. Like it was almost like you would think that I got her like a $1 million like diamond ring or something like that, right? But to her, that was really important because she hadn't been able to do it on her own. She had been wanting to do it, but she just couldn't get herself to get into action. And it just took somebody, let's just do something, let's just make a list, right? And then from there, then we took the easiest thing, and then we did that, and then we just kept moving on. But I share that with you is because it's the same thing in your business. Start with just something, right? It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be perfect. I know you listen to a lot of other people that are out there and business coaches and gurus, and they're telling you you need to have SMART goals and you need to do this and you need to do that. No, what you really need to do is just something. Start somewhere, because then that's going to get you a little bit of momentum. It's going to give you a little bit of excitement. It's going to give you a little bit of more confidence, and then you'll be able to do something else, and then you'll be able to do something else. Right? And that was how we were able to check all that stuff off. And she was super happy, and definitely got some wife points for that, right? That I could definitely use when the next time I get in the doghouse, which is pretty much like all the time. So, but anyway, and it's the same thing with here the podcast, right? I could have just said, forget it. It's been too long. I'm already, really busy. I don't really need to do this. I gave it a good shot. It had been, 66 episodes, and that's like good enough. But then I was like, no, I could just do something, just get back into momentum, get on here, talk about something. Even if you were like rambling, it doesn't really matter. At least you could check that off the box, and then that's going to get you back into action. As opposed to if I hadn't have done this podcast, guess what? I would have put this off another day, and then another day, and then 4 would have led to 16, 16 would have led to 20, 20 would have led to 40, and then that whole goal that I made, or that commitment that I made to myself of doing this for 365 days, or doing this for a year, would have been totally blown out of the water, and it would have been harder to try and start over again for the third time. Because believe it or not, and I've just noticed not only with myself, but then working with a lot of other clients and also business partners, that each time that you move towards a goal and you end up quitting or you end up stopping, that a little piece of your excitement dies. And if you do that enough, you stop enough times, your entire dream it's going to be destroyed. And you're not going to feel like, doing it. You're going to feel like a failure. This is all internal, obviously. And then you're just going to float right back into the life that you were doing before you decided to move towards this goal. And you're just going to shrink into yourself. And I believe that, there's so many more people that if they would just take one action, they would surprise themselves and achieve those goals that they ultimately wanted. Maybe not in the time frame that they wanted it, but if they continue to keep taking enough action, they'll eventually hit that goal. But the more that you stop and you quit, the more, and that's not even correct English, but the harder. There it is. I'm teaching my kids English, and my wife is always correcting me. You can't say that. That's not proper. She's always busted my chops. So, but it is harder to actually start moving forward. And that is not where you want to be. And you do that enough times, it's going to be like cinder blocks, and you're going to be like cemented into the ground, and you're going to be paralyzed and unable to do anything, regardless of what a great opportunity is, and so on and so forth. Does that make sense? So anyway, I just wanted to get on here. Again, I had to do this for myself to get myself into momentum. And then I also wanted to share with you, if there's anything that you have stopped doing, if there's a goal that you wanted to accomplish that you kind of quit on for whatever reason, not a problem. Just take an action today. Do something. Pull out a piece of paper, write a simple text, do a simple post. I don't even know what, but make it so super simple that it's hard for you to fail and almost impossible for almost impossible for you to fail and super easy for you to succeed. That will build that momentum, and that will get you in the right direction. And then the next day you'll be able to do something else, and the next day you'll do something else. Throw all of those gurus' plans out the window of you got to set these goals, you have to make sure they're smart and attainable and yada yada yada. Forget all that stuff. You know what? You're not even at that level yet if you've quit. You just need to get into action and just do something, right? And I'm gonna share this last thing before we go with what I learned from Russell Brunson. I love this, and I use this on myself all the time with my kids. And I even had to use it. I almost forgot. I had to use it with myself before I actually jumped on here to this podcast. And what he said is, stop stopping. If you would just stop stopping, you would achieve everything that you wanted and then some. Just stop stopping. He said, that's the key to everything. Stop stopping. So I'm going to share with you one more time. Stop stopping. Whatever it is that you've been putting off, go ahead and take one simple action. Even if it's, again, you may think it's not that big of a deal, but for you to build that momentum and that confidence to start moving forward, to do those bigger tasks, you got to start small. Do something small, and then you can build upon that. And before you know it, you'll be accomplishing your goals. The goals that you thought were so hard and so impossible to achieve, you'll see that it's starting to come into fruition very, very quickly. So that's all that I have to share with you. I hope you got some value out of this. I know I did, because now I'm stopping. So I had to get back into action. But thank you so much for listening. Thank you for joining me. As always, I'm going to see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you want to hear more of how the top income earners are actually building their network marketing business beyond their family and friends, please subscribe so you don't miss any of the secret hacks that I uncover.